Dr. Greenthumb Show. Lord of mercy.
What up, everyone? Happy Monday. Here we are, Dr. Greenthumb Show, exclusively on BREALTV, YouTube, and Twitch. My name is C-. Hola, everybody. And to my left, we have the one and only, my high and hungry brother, E-Zone.
What up, everybody? Feels good to be back on a Monday.
Yes.
I'll be popping in, more often than I usually do now that my dad's gone.
I know, and thanks, man. I appreciate having you around.
Yeah, feels good. Sometimes I have banters at home and my cat doesn't necessarily understand all the shit I'm talking sometimes,
I mean, sometimes you just got to talk to humans.
That's five flips.
Oh, my God.
Got him.
You know what? I'm just going to take a shot, all right?
There you go.
There you go.
There's my 5 flip.
There you go. And up in the tower, we have Colton. Actually, Bolton. We have Bra, and we have the Dominator.
What's going on, C-? How you doing, man?
I'm good, sir. Happy Monday, sirs. Good, sirs.
We're all doing good.
That's right.
Thank you.
Excellent.
And, of course, we have the Concentrate King himself.
You got me, Dom?
Oh, Cali Blaze.
My man.
Up
Thank
in the
you, Dom.
spot.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Happy Monday, everybody.
Happy Monday. And you know what? I figure since you're the one that, arranged for these gentlemen to come and be a part of this show, I would like you to do the introductions.
Sure, absolutely. Oh,
Get a drum roll, please.
Yeah, drum roll. To the left of Mr. Minus, we have Dr. Ryan Greene, which he'll tell you more about himself in a second. And to the left of that gentleman, we have Mr. Magic. Mr. Magic has his own chocolate company, which you've seen us take on the show many, many times. So we'll be here to talk. The doctor will be here to talk about some of the work that he does with patients and treatments with psilocybin. And Mr. Magic will tell you a little about his bar, his mission, and what's going on with that.
It's my first time trying them, by the way.
Well, half hour.
Oh.
Let me know how you feel.
Oh, my God.
Well, trying these chocolate specific, I won't, I'll mess with the chocolates and the actual fruit more than anything. But
yeah,
I was like,
it's really clean. I mean, when I entered the portal like a month ago, it was really clean. And it was just awesome, just clarity and good mood.
Yes.
It was amazing. So, Dr. Ryan, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, y'all. Appreciate it.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I am a physician, practice in LA. Originally started more like the sports medicine, preventive medicine space, and then found myself wanting to work outside of a hospital, just because by the time people got to me, usually they missed a lot of opportunities to help themselves heal. So I figured instead of waiting till they got to the end of the road, perhaps I could do something that would allow them to prevent a lot of the issues that they were experiencing. So myself and a couple partners created a concept called Monarch Athletic Club, which is a one-stop shop, health and wellness. We opened up in LA, in West Hollywood, basically taking the best parts of movement, nutrition, preventive medicine, as well as community, like creating that feel and putting it all in one spot and allowing people to just show up into one place and then have everything that they need taken care of. So you don't have to go to multiple places, get multiple opinions. And as a part of my journey over the last 5 years building out Monarch, one of the things I appreciated was the need for mental health, because we're really good treating the body neck down, but the head up has kind of been the space that's a little bit difficult, because how do you how do you quantify someone who's struggling with depression, with anxiety, with PTSD?
You
right?
can't really tell. Like,
you can't.
You can't. That person's not walking around saying, "Oh, my brain hurts."
Right.
You know
It's
what I
not
mean?
a broken leg where you can, do an exam.
feel
And
it. Yeah.
Even with MRIs and CAT scans, like you can't really tell per se, like if someone's struggling. So, myself personally was introduced to the work with plant medicine a couple years back, and it helped me through a lot of issues that I was having, personally and professionally. And then started doing work with psilocybin in more of a professional capacity with a group out of Canada that's doing some clinical trials looking at anxiety, PTSD, and depression in military veterans and former athletes, because those people have a lot of a high incidence of those issues. And right now, really the only treatments we have are traditional anti-anxiety, antidepressives, and then opiates, right? Or alcohol. And unfortunately, a lot of those individuals find that even those routes of treatment lead to potentially worse outcomes or feeling worse.
Yes.
And unfortunately, a lot of them, far too many, are choosing to say, hey, like, it's just not worth living, so I'm just going to end it. And I have found that with my work and then what's coming out in some of the clinical studies regarding psilocybin, even cannabis, things like that, I think there's other routes that we can go to introduce how we can help treat these people. So if I can help contribute to that body of literature so that we have alternatives that can offer something for people that are not just pills, I think that's worth doing. And, I've personally used Mr. Magic's product as well, and it's, nothing short of remarkable. So it's exciting as the U.S. kind of gets to the verge of decriminalizing and legalizing the use of psilocybin, at least in a medicinal setting, to be someone that's contributing to it. But, right now it's still illegal in the U.S. There's work being done in some academic medical centers and a lot of work being done around the world. So I'm fortunate just to be able to contribute to some of that.
Yeah, I'm personally very happy to hear about like the approach to mental health. You know, like me personally, my mother, we both suffer from bipolar disorder, and like you said, we're treated with more depressants. Basically, these anti-psych medicines, they don't better your mood. They literally just tranquilize you. They numb
it.
you. They numb you. So me personally, dealing with, obviously, bipolar, there's two sides, your manic side and the depressive side. And that depressive state is extremely hard to beat. Like, people don't understand the battle of even getting out of bed. Like, they only see this part of me. They don't know what I go through during the day. And personally, psilocybin has worked better than any antidepressant or any like things like their hardcore lithium, Seroquel. I'm just trying to think of a few off the bat. These things make you like a fucking zombie. They take away your emotion, and you don't feel better. So I've noticed when I treat myself with psilocybin, not only does it get me out of the funk, I have a smile on my face. So I actually am more enlightened and happier mood, and I'm able to go about my day without being tired and just dull and numb to everything. Even more attentive, able to do and function and properly, and have a better feeling for myself. That's why when you say you talk about it with, depression and PTSD, we work with an amazing group called Veterans Walk and Talk, and we've been donating to them for years because they help out so many good vets, and they started out with but mainly cannabis was their thing. And over the last year and a half, 2 years, it's evolved to almost all psychedelics, different types of psychedelics for different type of treatments, from DMT treatments for people with severe PTSD and trauma and things. And they've had remarkable, he tells me, like, we're saving, literally saving lives every week.
Yeah. I was working with a Navy SEAL veteran who, his story was basically he decided, the next day he was going to take his life. Just wasn't worth it. Too much pain. And one of his colleagues was like, hey, we're going down to Mexico to do some of this treatment. You should try it out. He happened to go, completely changed his life. And it's unfortunate that we have to send people
out of the country.
Out of the country.
Ketamine?
No, he did psilocybin, ibogaine, DMT.
Is ketamine as beneficial as psychedelics or psilocybin?
Yeah, so I think ketamine is super effective, FDA approved for depression. I've seen it work incredibly well in individuals that do it and do it consistently. you know, the thing with any of these interventions, medicine, whatever you want to call it, part of it is a tool, using it, and part of it is what you do with what you experience, right?
Absolutely.
The integration, right? So it's not just something that you can do a bunch of times and your life's going to be better. Like it's absolutely a tool, a guide that allows you to understand like what's truly bothering you, like what is causing the root issues, what's the root cause. So part of the work that we have to do is not only, you know, get to the point of decriminalization, legalization, but then also set up a network of individuals that are trained to work with people such as yourselves who are going through the treatment, so that you can not only do it, but then have someone to follow up with you to make sure you're continuing to make progress.
Right.
You know, otherwise you're just, you know, getting high and then you kind of like sit and you don't really make any progress. So there's a couple different layers of intervention that we need to get dialed in before this thing, you know, gets going, but we're making progress. I mean, we're closer than we were a couple of years ago. So
You're a legit physician, man. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know, like you mentioned that in the beginning, but it's like it's very rare that you have somebody, because you know there's street doctors, there's people that are self-proclaimed.
We call them wook science.
Yeah, there's wook science. There's people that's like, nah, I know how to shove that powder up their nose. Just, you know what I mean? I got this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're not really trained to do this. So
Yeah.
how you're like one out of few, man. It's like, do you know more of these doctors that are starting to make this shift?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's easier to sit right now and say, hey, like you have this syndrome, here is the medication for you. But the truth of the matter, and to your point, is, you know, there's studies coming out demonstrating the traditional anti-anxiety, antidepressive medications may improve your symptoms, improve them.
Wow.
30 to 50% of times.
Damn.
Maybe. Then some of the preliminary research with psilocybin, MDMA, which is ecstasy, ketamine, you know, 6 months to a year, 70 to 80% of people are like cured, like
Yep.
they're good. So there's a huge discrepancy between like what we currently are able to do and what we could potentially be able to do. That being said, you kind of have to have a curious mind and start to look outside the box, especially if you're a medical professional, to say like, all right, like, is this really making someone's life better? Am I really
You said
offering something?
You said ecstasy. And
Yeah.
now, and the people that are listening, because these are the same people, man. I said I put mushrooms in my lean one time, and somebody like went out there and really did it. So they'll listen to you. I don't want these people to think,
No.
let me go buy 5 Teslas from my drug dealer down the street
Yeah.
and say, you know, maybe it'll cure my depression, because that's not what we're talking about. What do you
Yeah.
mean when you say like ecstasy? Is there a pure way to get it where it's refined, like vodka, like, you know, or like refined alcohol, you know, where it's been filtered? Like, can you elaborate more on that?
So that's a good question. How do you get it right now and trust it? That's
Well, not just how do you get it, but the difference between it. You know what I mean? Like I said, somebody might be like, "Oh, I know where to get ecstasy. This dealer sells it down the
yeah.
street."
So a couple things. There's a really good book called "How to Change Your Mind" by Michael Pollan that kind of talks about how this should be used appropriately and as medicine, and setting, like how you do it, where you do it, the people you do it with, the environment is super important. So there are some practitioners now that can use MDMA, which is
Right.
street name ecstasy,
Right.
in a therapeutic setting.
Right.
But just
They've
taking
been doing it since like the 30s or 40s.
for sure, and they did it.
They would
I
do
mean,
it
they
successfully.
Used it they used it in couples therapy,
Right,
because
exactly.
it allowed
Marriage
people
counseling.
allowed people to like truly say how you feel without like that tense of
Yeah.
The wall being down.
yeah. And so, to your point, like there's an intentional component of how you do all of this stuff. And that's what, I mean, cultures around the world that have been doing this for thousands of years appreciate. Like, it's sacred, it's a ceremony, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, it's not just something where you can go find mushrooms, find ecstasy, find ketamine, and just do it and hope your problems are going to go away. Like, you have to be really intentional. You have to do it the right way with the right people, also with the right understanding of like, what are we trying to do here? What's the end result we're trying to achieve?
Right.
And that's, again, like the education process. So once we have the ability to do this, you know, legally, part of like the work that is being done in research is like, who should do what, how do they do it, what's the appropriate dose, how often, for how long. You know,
Well, the biggest problem is, I think he was kind of asking too, is there a way to get pure synthesized MDMA. You were asking,
Well, it's like anybody who does any illicit drugs. At the end of the day, like I know for a fact somewhere there's some medical cocaine somewhere, and I know anybody who likes to partake in stuff like that would be like, oh, that's like the best grade you could probably get. I'm sure that there's drugs with more benefits, like medical ecstasy or medical something like that actually have way more benefits than me just trying to get high.
Yeah.
So it's like there are like where or like. Where do they keep these things? Man?
it's
Like,
synthesized
obviously they have to
in
have
a
it.
laboratory. They have like these things.
So they can put this in a pill in CVS and be like, hey, these are like 20 pills for you?
They're called compound pharmacies, and
Yeah.
they make
Maybe someday.
Right, right. But now, like a lot of these things are synthesized in, am I right, in a compound pharmacy,
Right.
where they can actually make it. It's exactly what it should be. There's no additives. When you get it from the street, you don't know what's in it.
No.
But the people who are using it for treatment is usually synthesized in like a compound lab or something like that. So they're getting pure form. You know what I mean? We're getting as much of purity as you hope. Some people are getting bath salts, and
Well, I mean, I like, for example, like I've tried ketamine recently, and I didn't had no, like, not that I had no intention, but I was just like, oh, it's my birthday. Let's just go ahead and try it. I didn't know that the K-hole or whatever what that people describe as that intense. Like, to me, I felt like I was inside a Rubik's Cube. I still remember it very vividly. So I meant to some extent it had to be very true. And I didn't have the mentality to go in it like I was like, oh, I'm gonna have an epiphany. But I did get some kind of morale out of it. Where it's like, hey, maybe you should stop being mean to people. You know, so I was just I took something out of it. So I feel like. I'm like, maybe if I would have had some very serious more serious problems, it probably would have been a bigger epiphany than just like, hey, tone it down on the picking on certain people.
Yeah, I mean, setting and Mr. Magic can attest is super important, and it's just one of those things where like it's I don't have a good explanation as to, like in medicine, the technical, objective, calculated reason why. But if you look at how ancient cultures have used this type of intervention and treatment, it is very intentional, very sacred for a reason. And it's a powerful medicine, like you experienced, like, what, I don't know if that revelation was true. Like if
it was very true. I was
So,
like,
like-
yeah, I've been going hard on like certain foods, picking on them.
Yeah, and like, and where does that come from? Like, is that, spiritual higher power? Like, I don't know how you quantify that, but usually what comes through is usually pretty important for you to pay attention to, and especially people that are really struggling. Oftentimes they appreciate things that are not contributing to their ability to function at the highest level possible, or things that need to be addressed so that they can help heal to move beyond their anxiety, their depression.
So would you say to anybody that's out there having a trip on mushrooms, like if you encounter, like because there's a lot of individuals that'll be like, hey, I'm gonna pop. I've had this habit too, where I'm like, I've taken them just because I'm gonna take them for fun, and then one of these trips that ends up being like, hey, the elephant in the room you were ignoring, the built up is here, and now we gotta face this, and here it is. So. Would you say to take these messages on your trip more serious? Is that maybe something you could answer more, Dr. Magic, or
Mr. Magic?
Mr. Magic?
I like Dr. Magic.
Yeah, Dr. Magic sounds good, right?
I think the thing I could say really is the same thing that Dr. Greene's saying, which is the setting is absolutely critical, and I think it's important that you go into it with intention, right? And so. What happens, a byproduct of you maybe not having an intention and you've eaten too much, then all of a sudden you are in this state that you've kind of experienced. And so if we're more aware of that, I think people would be more respectful of maybe as well, like what they would be doing, dosing. And then I think the other important thing too is to understand dosing. Not all mushrooms are created equal.
Yes.
Wow, that's like the shirt working.
Dude, I mean, exactly. I mean, we were having a conversation before we went on the air, and I remember the first time I ever attended when I went to Europe, and I went to a smart shop in Amsterdam, and I'd never shroomed before in my life, and the person behind the desk was like, "All right, so what do you want? Do you want colors and you want laughing in colors? Do you want a little more intense, or do you want an outer body experience?" I was like, give me the laughing in colors. That's what I want.
Right.
Like an instant mood change. I want to be able to like go and like just have a blast, right? And so I never knew that there was these different types of shrooms for different things that you would. I just thought it was going to be, oh, let's all go and just, whatever the trip is whatever the trip is. I didn't know you could specify it to having a more tailored experience as opposed to just wildly going in there and like, let's see what happens.
Were they ages of head? Like in the Europe?
Say again.
Were they like ages ahead of their time in Europe? Because
in-
truffles have been,
well,
available there, and
they've accepted it for a lot longer. I think that they just have had the longer time frame to be able to understand and the openness to be able to understand that one varietal. So with cannabis, you guys refer to it as strains, right?
Yeah.
Well, in mushrooms with psilocybin, we refer to it as varietals. So it's like a flower, right? It's a fruit. It's a fruiting body. And so with the different types of psilocybin, cubenzes, there's cyanescens, there's quite a few variations that are psychedelic. And some really have higher levels of psilocin and other levels of psilocybin. And so the psilocybin.
explain what can you explain the difference?
Psilocin I know with cannabis there's so many now known cannabinoids, I think it is. Well, with psilocybin, what we know right now is that there are two, psilocybin and psilocin. And psilocin is a component that's a very small fraction of the percentage of what is hallucinogenic, and your body converts it. I'm actually pretty sure probably Dr. Greene could maybe be a bit more specific if he was to add to it. But essentially, there's psilocybin, which is kind of a bit more of that fun, happy. You kind of have that a bit more euphoric, and it's colorful. Whereas psilocin can be a little bit more heady. It can kind of take you into a bit more of a philosophical level. So
that's almost like the mushroom sativa and indica, almost.
Exactly. I mean, there's a very similar, and the psilocin is incredibly potent. And so most mushrooms are fairly low in psilocin and high in psilocybin, but then drastically vary between how well they've been cultivated. I mean, that's just like anyone farming anything, anyone growing anything, the quality of your nutrients, the quality of the way you care for them. I mean, literally down to the way you talk to them and maybe what music you're playing while they're growing has a lot to do with the quality. So those are the two that we know of right now. And what I've found is that, so with Hero, for example, the Hero blend that I've kind of really put together, I basically had an understanding of all these different variations, the different varietals that do different things, and some are more heady, and I like that. I like to get in my head a little bit. I like to be philosophical.
Are those like more like the epiphany?
They can kind of trigger some of those things, and they would point out the elephant in the room.
Oh, those are the ones you got to give
deep,
somebody that's addicted to drugs. Huh?
They're the deep ones, right? And then there's the other ones. There's certain varietals like golden teachers are known to be a very mild, so they're low in their percentages. So that's what people like, is they like a lower percentage. I mean, I'm saying in the majority of people are more drawn to a lower dose of psilocybin and psilocin than these high doses that make people like kind of trip out, I guess you'd say. And so I found 5 particular varietals that I combine together because, in my opinion, I feel like it's a little bit for everyone, and because one, like, golden teachers might do one thing to me and it might do completely something
No,
else.
you're very right about the very mild thing, because I've had my fair share with mushrooms, and I remember at the beginning it was like, hey, you take these every day. A lot of people before it became very accepted, they're just like, hey, how can you do that to yourself? I'm like, hey, I'm just taking hikes, dude. It's like I have a lot on my mind. I take these before I take my hike up there, and sometimes I just stare at the birds a little extra longer.
Yep.
It just helps me, you know what I mean? It just helps me deal with people a lot better. So it's like I've had my fair experience in these, and I have yet to, I want to know which, it's like I wish I knew what strains made me have that Disney effect where it's like, hey, maybe I want to see more visuals than have epiphanies every time. Because sometimes I'm staring at them, I'm like, I would take you, but then we're going to talk about that fight I had 3 days ago.
Yeah, right.
I got a good question to that maybe you can help answer, because I've had this issue with people with the whole indica sativa thing for a while, okay? Because what I explain to people is, and it's a fact, we all have an endocannabinoid system, right? We all also, no matter what, the way you feel from one drug and the way you feel can be completely different. So what I think is very misleading to tell people, oh, if you take a golden teacher, it's going to make you feel this way.
Absolutely.
Is that bullshit? Meaning, like, don't you think it'll affect everyone differently?
Correct.
I mean, maybe there's a majority of the people who tend to feel that, so it gets like stereotypically known, but medically, can you really say, hey, if you
No.
take this, thank you?
Yeah.
That's why I don't push the whole sativa indica, because I don't believe in it, meaning it's
chemistry.
not. And
Yeah.
sativa and indicas really just have to do with where they're grown in the world, their geological locations. It's not the effects. And I think when you tell people, hey, you're going to feel this way, and then they don't,
Right.
it's kind of weird. Like, well, you said it was going to do this. Well, it affects everybody differently.
Everything hits me the same, dude. At this point,
Dude, I mean, same. I mean,
I agree and I disagree. Because
disagree.
I know, yeah, because I'm not saying this as a plug to you in any way, shape, or form. I've been taking psilocybin and mushrooms on and off my whole life. And I love the way it makes me feel consistently. So if you're using it to just get high, fuck it. Go grab whatever you got, eat them, and enjoy it. But when you're trying to use it on some, I don't care. I've done like 15 dabs. Just so you guys know, I'm not smoking flower. I've been dabbing. That's it. Only flips. So
Yeah, true that.
I don't give a fuck about the
Oh, look at that.
fuck. There's another one.
Ooh, you're
'Cause
good.
I'm
Now
gonna be
you're
dabbing.
up.
I'm gonna be dabbing the whole time. It don't matter. But yeah, where was I? I got lost. I was cursing. I was saying something about like.
see where
this-
cursing takes you, dude?
Yeah,
You were
exactly.
talking about medically, the medical side for shrooms instead of recreationally.
Yeah, absolutely. So, really quick before I get off, I wanted to ask you a question, especially for somebody, me personally, and also my mother, who uses it for like bipolar reasons. Is there anything in science that like, is there anything debilitating about it? Meaning, like, as they get older, I know I've read a lot of things about mushrooms being really good for, like for your brain function and memory and things. But taking, let's say, under a gram a day, would there be any side effects that we should be concerned about? You know what I mean? That you know about?
Side effects, like, what do you mean?
Meaning, like right now, if she takes her dose in the morning, right, she feels great. But then by 12 o'clock, she's starting to feel like she used to. So she wants to know, can I take my dose again without really causing damage and
Or building an
hurting
addiction.
herself?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, the addiction part, she's been taking pills, which she doesn't want to do
No, I'm
anymore.
saying, but like 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 your body becoming reliant.
Well,
on
yeah, but then she'll just have to up the dose. and
yeah,
that's
I
what
mean, you
would
can
happen.
develop a tolerance to
Correct.
anything.
But do
so-
you think there's any adverse, like there's something you say that's like bad, like the pills give her tremors, give her, it's bad stuff. And like, do you think there's anything wrong with taking less than a gram a day?
I mean, there are plenty of microdose protocols that are circulating.
Right.
Again, like I kind of live in two worlds. There's my, traditional medical, like let's try to study everything so that we can quantify. And then there's the other part that's like, this is going to take a long time and a lot of people need help. So perhaps we should start taking some anecdotal,
Right.
or smaller entity, like case-based work. Do I think less than, half a gram? I mean, it's hard for me to think that there'd be side effects. There may be side benefits. That
Right,
being
that's
said,
what I mean.
again, like,
But it doesn't do anything to your heart. It doesn't make your brain degrade
Diarrhea.
degrade your brain. Like it's not doing anything to your organs that are bad. Correct? Like
not that we know of. I mean,
right.
I mean,
yeah.
if I was gonna say anything, because we were talking a little bit about it earlier as well, and the thing I would be most concerned with people, because I've got a long history. I mean, I'll be honest, 28 years I've been doing.
Damn.
Woo!
Yeah,
psilocybin.
attaboy.
Damn,
And from
OG.
the very first time I experienced it, it changed my life. It
Right.
really opened up things in a way, and I feel like a lot of what all of this has come to fruition in this way that is guided, and so it really is very significant. But my point being that you got to be careful of what you might be allergic to, and
Yes.
and so I know for myself, there's a strain called albino penis envy. People call it ape. It's
got some of those
very,
upstairs.
very, very powerful. It's very strong. It's high in psilocybin. It's also high in
Those shits
psilocybin.
are scary.
And so I had allergic reaction. I got itchy, and it felt like, so I also have an allergic reaction to morphine. I've had multiple surgeries from sports injuries, and and so I've had to deal with that
How
tolerance.
about the
for that
addiction to morphine?
And-
Let's
oh.
just talk about that.
Oh, sure. but so like that's what I've noticed is there was in particular one varietal that I had an allergic reaction to, and and it was itchy, and it was so that's what I think people might want to be concerned or cautious of, is not
pay
overdoing
attention.
it, paying attention.
Yeah.
Like we could all have, because every single varietal is going to do something different. It is chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of whether one does one thing to you and does something to someone else. So just be careful, you know, and know your source as
So
well.
what-
It's really is such a key.
Now that you mentioned that, what makes a bad mushroom?
Poor cultivation. You know, it could
Like
be,
signs to look out for the people that are out there, because not everybody is fortunate enough to live the California life, and right here it's like, hey, you can do pretty much whatever the fuck you want.
So
You know what I mean?
Wow.
you can.
It's man, it's good.
I mean, people can grow it in their closets, and they have for years, and sure that works. But you know, if you don't really understand the science and the you know, the cultivation aspect of what really goes into the right nutrients. I mean,
And it has to be super sanitary.
it's sanitary.
Super
You
sanitary.
got to be very careful of contamination. And
Correct.
that is something that just takes a long time to work through all those things, especially on a scalable level when you need you know, the volume of what it would be to. So that's it. Yeah, you gotta know your source. Be careful. You want to start small. I mean, look, the Hero Bar. That's a heroic dose,
And
That's
it's
Terrence
potent.
McKinnon- Yeah, Terrence.
Heroic
McKinnon.
dose is the whole bar,
So
right?
that would be, which I would never suggest you
Right.
go out
Oh
and
my
try
gosh.
a whole Hero Bar. But what Hero means, Hero is it's a nod to Terrence McKenna, and he created. He coined the frame heroic dose back in I believe it was the 70s, and that was his intention. Was he put on headphones, he got in a dark room, he set an intention, and would take 5 grams of mushrooms.
That's Mike Tyson shit right there.
Yeah, right. And I mean, that was my first experience. I didn't realize what I was doing when I did it the first time, but I did 7 grams of mushrooms, and so there's this relevance with Hero and what it means and who it speaks to, but I think that the biggest thing is that we gotta educate people, right? I think the biggest thing is that people need to understand, okay, what's the right dosage, what's the right quality. You know, I've taken 5 varietals, I blend them together because it creates a bit more of a what I would think of full spectrum. It has more benefits on all sides and not too concentrated of one versus the other, which so I think it seems to have a fairly well-rounded experience and a consistent experience for most people. But the cultivation is incredibly important, like the quality of what you're doing and how you do it. I mean, these mushrooms, they respond to classical music. I mean, they really do.
rad.
And consistency, meaning like.
What do you mean they respond?
They grow better. They grow fuller. They actually can be more potent and more consistent when you are exposing them to certain, you know,
Vibrations and-
vibrations.
You hear
sound.
that, Ongo boys?
Yep. So
Stop playing corridos for them, bro. They don't like that shit.
Settle down. Damn.
Hey guys, real quick, everybody in the chat, if you're gonna want to ask, we have a doctor here today, so if you guys have any real questions you want to ask, get them in the super chats early so we can get to them today. So yes.
Yeah, and Dr. Ryan, I really appreciate what you said as far as like being able to like you're addressing mental health, because a lot of times, especially us men, you know what I mean, we don't recognize depression sometimes. We don't recognize that, you know, we're in a dark place and there's and sometimes, you know, we need something to get us out, you know.
Yes.
As I told, you earlier, Mr. Magic, the one time that E-Zone, the first time I ever tried microdose, because every time I had ever dosed it was with intent to like just fucking get out of here. You know what I mean? I just wanted to leave for a little bit, but still be here, right? And so I was on my way to having a really bad day. And E-Zone came up to me and he gave me a couple stems and caps and he's like, here, take these. And I was like, all right. And so I took them, and then from that point on, I had the best day.
There you go.
And it carried on into the week. Like, and I was like, I mean, I was literally on my way into being like, just shut off mode. You know, just like you know certain things
It's an
about yourself.
antidepressant.
Yeah, and I was on my way to like a bad place. And this dude he didn't know it, but he did know it because he offered it to me. You know, it
And
saved.
you knew what it would do for you.
Yeah, it saved me.
Yep.
From myself.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And I thought that was like, that's when I believed in the power of microdosing.
It doesn't take much. It's literally a small dose that you can start at some point, and you work through whether it's microdosing or you know, kind of these macro levels as well. But really, I think the big thing is people need to be educated. Like, these are very very powerful.
Correct.
Very powerful medicine. It's very powerful and potent, you know, chemical that we want to be respectful of. And I think with that respect comes, you know, a lot of value and And so just a little bit can go a long way. I mean, you know,
I want to jump in because I keep making statements about bipolar, and I just want to make everybody aware, right? What works for me might not work for you. So please be careful. Don't take too much, because when you are bipolar, you know this, it could put you in an extremely bad place. So make sure that you do it responsibly.
Yeah.
See how it responds to you. Don't do it based off of what it does for me, because there's all different levels and degrees of this disease, and make sure that it responds properly to you, and don't just go balls to the wall. Like you said,
Right.
work your way up and see how your body reacts. It's going to tell you whether it's good for you or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll
What if-
let you know.
What if you listen to classical music and it helps you out too?
No, listen, believe it or not,
Like-
I
Like he takes so much
absolutely-
mushrooms and then he's
but
like,
you know
yo.
what though? That's true for a lot of people. Meaning,
It
just
is, yeah.
certain sounds and things do relax people. And yeah,
absolutely.
I will listen to shit like that when I need it. But what's like really important is the medicinal part. Like I really just believe in it so much for psychiatric treatments. Meaning the fucking medicine that we have, they are not treating it. They're not curing it either. There's no cure. And that's what I want to talk to you about, because I think it's so awesome. I've seen some amazing studies that show the brain under, I guess it would be not MRI, but some type of they show you
scan?
brain activity. Yeah, maybe CAT
Brain
scan,
scan?
but it's showing you the
there's
activity of the brain, right?
Neuroimaging, yeah.
Neuroimaging. So they're showing just a regular brain. They're asking it, you're asking you regular questions. They'll ask you the same exact questions when psilocybin was introduced, and you can literally watch the brain just light up in all sorts of places. And they've claimed, not claimed, show that there's parts of the brain that are now communicating that never communicate. And this is why people sometimes come up with these great ideas or have new feelings, because your body these parts never communicated.
Yeah, I think it's just to take a step back, like anyone listening, off the record, this stuff's available on the record, work with people that know what they're doing. But to your point, some of the work that's being done, I completely agree. There's some functional neuroimaging systems that show the brain working in real time. And I think one of the cool things is the ability to kind of reestablish or repair, rewire, neurologic pathways that have been built kind of as a safety mechanism, because things happen throughout people's lives that are traumatic, and everyone's experience is different. It doesn't have to be war. It doesn't have to be playing professional sports. Like, stuff happens that, impacts people differently. And the ability for some of these medicinals to be able to help re-engage parts of the brain that have been either working too much or not working enough or not communicating, I think is pretty cool. And to a previous point, there's a really good book called The Immortality Key.
Okay.
I don't know how much y'all read on here, but
we like to
hopefully
read.
read a lot.
Yeah.
And part of the thing that it talks about is that some like chalices and vessels that have been found from 500-600 years ago in Roman times, they found hallucinogenic substances in those vessels. So part of like
ceremonial cups, right?
ceremonial cups. So like part of the belief is, like, to Maddie's point, we've been using this for hundreds and hundreds of years, and some of these incredible revelations were probably, sacred experiences using medicinals, things like that. So yeah, it's an exciting time that we're able to provide something that may have the potential to be curative.
Right.
Like, it's promising.
Right.
We're getting there.
I had read in your bio you're on the board of, I think it was called Wake. Am I correct?
Yeah, so I'm an advisor
Wake?
for Wake. Yeah, so Wake's based out of Canada, and they do. Yeah, go ahead.
Where's your work though? Is the work like are you able to practice those in Canada? Or
No, Jamaica.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what. So it's a Canadian-based company,
Correct.
And then you get to actually go to some of these trials in Jamaica with
Yep,
people.
that's
so
correct.
Jamaica has legalized that.
Decriminalized. Yep.
Excellent. That's great to know, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it must be amazing getting to do these types of studies. Are you doing
Incredible.
more study? That's actually probably treatment and studies at the same
A
time.
little of
correct?
both. So
Right.
clinical immersions, people have the opportunity to come participate in the experience. And we're looking at not only subjective data, like how do people feel, and then also utilizing some of that functional neuroimaging to look at people's brains before and after experiences to see like what's happening, right?
Right.
Because we don't know. Like this, most of the people that have been using this stuff, it's kind of word of mouth. Like, you should try this. Like you guys did. Like, hey, you're having a bad day, you should try this. But like, in order for this to be adopted at a grander scale, like we have to have some structure surrounding something. Same thing with cannabis. Like,
Right.
There have to be rules and regulations. That's just how our system works. So these groups are doing incredible work to better define who should be using things, what should be the appropriate dose, how often should you be using it. And then we're also looking at how the body responds in other ways. So it's been pretty cool. Early days. So we'll see what happens.
Hell yeah.
Do you think it's more like I saw in your title, you're a DO,
Mm-hmm.
right? DO approach and MD approach are always a little bit different, right? Would you say yours is more of, I'd say, a modern or current day approach, and the MD approach was more this just medicinal one way of looking at it? Do you feel that DOs have a more of an open approach and more modern look to things?
I think the training philosophy is a little bit more holistic.
There you go.
Comprehensive.
That's what I kind of meant.
Truth of the matter is basically everything's merged because we're all operating within the same system. So
You all have to take the same type of tests.
same
Right,
same
exactly,
exams, everything.
exactly.
We're working in the same
It's
hospital.
just
side
the
by
way
side.
they teach you.
Yeah, it's a philosophical slight difference, but for the most part, it's understanding that the body has the capacity to heal itself, and how do we create an environment that allows it to do so? Because we have a lot of things that we do that are prohibitive for our bodies to work well,
Right.
and bodies and minds, right? Because
Do both of you guys trip?
what do you mean?
You guys trip?
Do you take psilocybin?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
I mean, my bad. I just maybe should have said that.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's, but I got my start working with a group that does like experiences. It's 10 to 15 people, very intentional in a space that's very safe with people that are all there for the same reason. It's like healing and understanding.
You go to a place.
Yeah. Because
So how much do you do when you go to that place? Because I might take 2 grams sometimes and just go to work and be like, fuck it, I'll wing it.
No, I wouldn't be able. I wouldn't be able to get away with that with what I do. But it just depends. So when I have my own experiences, probably like 2 grams is for me is like a pretty impactful dose, and it's something where I'm just set up my environment, candles, music.
Like a whole bar?
No.
Oh.
That'd be 5 grams. No.
That's heavy.
That's
heavy.
I'll do like a little less than that, but for me that's like perfect because it's an opportunity for me to connect with my higher powers and heal. Just kind of like I call them downloads, like get understanding, and then
Right.
really, like I said, the work comes from what do you do with it. Like, as if you're told, how it was explained to me is like the universe, whatever you connect to when you do this, is gonna ask you, it's gonna offer you advice, and you don't have to take it. Like, you can just say, hey, not really interested in hearing this right now, and it's like, all right,
Talk to me.
yeah. Or yeah, I mean, it can be like, hey, like you said, I don't really want to think about this elephant in the room. It's fine, but you're gonna have to address it at some point. And so for me, what I try to do is just like set aside time periodically, not all the time, to utilize this medicinal, learn what I need to learn, and then take some time to try and integrate it. And there's a couple other really good books. Like, one's called A Dose of Hope. That's not just about psilocybin. It's also about MDMA. I told
great book.
Mr. Magic to read it, and their whole point is like, this stuff is super effective for individuals, but they're not going to do a treatment more than once every 3 to 4 months,
Right.
Because if you don't have the ability to like integrate what you're learning, like the whole intention of this is kind of lost, and then it's just for people to get high.
Without the integration, all it was a high.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
yeah,
True
and
And the intent, right?
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
heal.
And I think there's more here to offer than just getting high. But that being said, like, microdosing is kind of a different approach.
Agreed.
But again, like, everyone's experience is different. A microdose for you may be too much for me, depending
Correct.
on what I need to do.
Correct.
And again, like, you kind of nailed it on the head with, like, for me, 0.25 grams, which is kind of a larger microdose. Like, I get it's for me, it's like creativity focus. For some people, it may be, something different. It may
Right.
be.
I think it varies though. Like sometimes I've gone and I'm like, this should help me write some new stuff, and then sometimes I'm like, I didn't want to cry today, dude.
Yeah.
Right. Like
You didn't want to,
But you did.
but
You needed to.
Yeah.
You needed
That's
to.
it.
Like
It gives you what you need.
There you
Yeah.
go.
It
You're right.
really will give you what you need.
Yeah.
Blaze, what was the dose you gave me over at the
You
Green
took a
Thumb?
half a gram, and let me just say something before you guys call him a wuss. It's not a joke. If you normally take a gram to a gram and a half a gram of that hero bar will hit you the same. If I'm
Yeah.
eating just the fruit, I start with a gram and a half.
Right.
And I remember a friend of ours, when he gave it to me, he goes, hey, man, start with just one of the cubes. I said, how much is a cube? He said a half a gram. I'm like, the fuck am I going to do with a half a gram? I ate the whole thing. I'm like, you got another one? Because I want to go for 2. Yeah. These guys got to see the results of that because I did it right before a show, and I wound up taking the full gram, and I was so fucking high. But I enjoyed every bit of it,
Yeah.
Don't you tell me to settle down.
Yeah,
it was actually great, meaning like I was smiling the whole show, laughing the whole show, having a mild heart attack, don't get me wrong. But normally, like with someone like me who does get anxiety, heart palpitation simulates anxiety, right? Usually when you feel that, that's the onset of a panic attack or any type of, but the greatest thing about with the psilocybin is the heart's racing, but I'm smiling. I'm not anxious.
Yeah.
Like normally if a drug or something hits you and you get that, that's like, oh fuck, I'm about to have an anxiety attack. But here I'm feeling like the heart part, but you can't get the smile off.
You're not
So
battling demons that day.
What's that?
You're not battling demons.
No, man. And well, like I said, when I wake up in that funk, like usually I do more of a microdose every day.
Sure.
But when I wake up and it's like, I don't want to get out of bed, I don't get out of bed. I take the chocolate, I eat it, and then 30 minutes later, I jump out with a smile, right into the shower and get my day rocking.
It's like
so,
coffee to
It
it's
is,
like coffee to you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But that's the difference, though. Meaning, instead of being like, if I would have taken like, let's say something called lithium, fuck, man, you're literally like a zombie, tranquilized. Like people look at you, they can see the glaze in your eyes. Like you look like a fucking junkie, and it's like, and I can't function that way. I don't have any personality. I'm dull. I'm not myself, and I take that, and I'm even extra spunky, and I feel good. So instead of depressed, I feel better.
I got like a question. Do you guys smoke?
Cannabis, you mean?
Yeah. Do you guys smoke cannabis?
Matt, you can.
I can handle the tiniest little bit of sativa. And funny, the thing is, like, again, back to chemistry, it's really like I think I might be allergic to it.
I believe that. There's
can be.
I can handle really high levels of psilocybin, which I but then it comes to cannabis. A little tiny bit of sativa and I'm cool. I can watch a movie. I get creative. It's good. But anything more than that, and it's just, it can cause a spiral.
The reason I say that is because the cannabis, I guess, scene or culture has always been so embracing with the mushrooms, and it's kind of have the psychedelics and the kind of always gone hand in hand. So for me, I've always felt that it was not that it was like a gateway to me, but it was just like at some point in my cannabis career or whatever it is, I was gonna like, yeah, you know what, I might start getting into mushrooms, and then it fell in hand right in place, and I'm like, I develop a tolerance for that, and I start exploring, you get to dabble with all that stuff. So I'm like, that's the reason I just want to know. I'm like, did both of you guys smoke? Or
so not consistently, not in any kind of. I just can't handle much. I've had the same eighth of. I like lamb's bread. I think
I love it.
The strain of it, right? And it's because it's not all genetically crazy. It's a simple singular strain, and on a low dose for me, yes, it's enjoyable, but I cannot do it in anything beyond that. Yeah.
I just wanted. I figured I'd ask. Man. I was like, "It's the Doctor Magic, Doctor Mushroom." I know it's not Doctor Mushroom, but
nah, it's just same thing. I just don't respond super well to it. So.
Right.
Just
to each his
not
own.
my jam.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
If it doesn't make you feel that way, don't do it.
It works wonders for some people, and for others, people are just like, nah.
And I think that could also lead to the point of with psilocybin, it's the same thing. Like it's not going to work the same for everybody.
Right.
And I think it generally can be very, very positive for almost everyone. But the truth is, you gotta know where to start. And when we say intention, when we say setting an intention, what that means is like, if there's something you want to get out of it, you can ask the question, put that question out to the universe.
Yeah.
I want to know why I'm being mean to people. I want to maybe be better at, like, I mean, seriously. Like,
No, it's true. I've never done that,
set-
so it's like this is a whole new perspective for me. Next time
set-
I trip, I'm gonna try that.
and you set that intention, and if you ask the question, you'll get answers. So it gives you what you need, which is really the most impressive part about it, because it's intelligent. It is I like to believe that it is an intelligent approach to discovering more about yourself, to like learning how to better yourself. That's part of what Hero is too, is bettering others, right? I mean, so you got to start with yourself, right? And you learn how to be better for yourself, because you can't really help anyone else till you help yourself. And so you learn how to be better, and then hopefully that will, branch out into us helping others. And, so there's a big picture here, I think, that with being educated and with setting an intention and having a right approach to it, you're going to experience great things and things that you want, you can ask for, and it's a powerful experience.
Yeah, I've never had that perspective in mind.
Yeah.
Pointed out where it's like do it with an intention.
Yep.
Right.
where it's
That's
like,
it.
Because every time I've done it, I mean, there's been times where I've taken them and just whatever happens,
Wherever you go.
happens.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, your intention was just to party, right? You're like,
well,
my intention. And that's okay
it's a
too.
party favor most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, there has been some times where I've noticed where like my mind kind of lets me know, hey, pop a couple of these, and then you're gonna know you're gonna get some kind of clarity and see if you're stuck in that rut. You know what I mean? But it's like I usually try everything before I get to that. So
Right.
like I always kind of look at them as like a recreational type of thing and not more of a therapeutic thing. So you want to have things in order, but I'm like, man, if you're ever like stuck in a rut, then like your body kind of like does. I do feel that like it's like, hey, it's time to trip, dude.
It
Yeah.
gives you what you need. It really it can. In a lot of cases, even when you're least expecting it, it might give you an answer, that something that you thought of some time prior, and then all of a sudden it can pop up while you're experiencing this trip, and it's profound. It's transformative. I mean, if you are listening to what it's there potentially giving you, and you're open to receive, I mean, it can change lives 100%. And I think with Dr. Greene, his experience as a vet, as well as these other veterans that we know that are struggling. These are guys that wake up with a gun in their hand in the morning. Whether they're gonna pull the trigger or not is a daily question they got to answer. And I think some of the response that I've experienced from some of these guys coming and saying how this is changing their lives. That is powerful, man. That is and that's what it's about. We want to. These guys, they need help, and it was just, Hero just ended up being kind of something that to them it resonated because Hero, and it wasn't like I was setting that as an intention at first. It just kind of
Worked out that way.
and then they came back, and I thought, oh my God, this is so powerful. This could maybe be how I could help. Be my contribution. I could be a contribution to helping people be better for themselves.
You guys ever tried acid?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I have not. No.
Oh, wow. I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
So I come from the Midwest. So like growing up, like even like alcohol was like a no. So
only on Sundays type of thing.
yeah. Well, behind the scenes, everyone did it. Just no one talked about it.
baby.
Yeah. So
Reminds me.
I to be honest, I'm kind of grateful that I wasn't exposed to this kind of stuff when I was growing up, because I don't think I would have had the maturity to understand its impact.
Right.
And I'm grateful that we're in California now, where people are a little bit more free thinking, and a little bit more progressive, especially with this kind of stuff. But there's a lot of things I'd like to try. I just as an entrepreneur and a physician, I don't have a ton of time, and I'm really serious about creating that environment that's respectful for whatever I'm going to do. And if I don't have time to like do it, I'm not just going to do it for recreation. So I need to be in the right space to do it. So
Right.
I'm just kind of,
To get the right benefit.
Yeah,
To be able to judge it and analyze it.
yeah, absolutely. I'm it's one of those things that I also have to acknowledge, like I need self-care too. So
We all do.
I have to set time aside for myself. I'm grateful that I don't have a ton of other health issues other than fatigue associated with lack of sleep. So for all things considered, I'm
The man is working, bro.
Yeah.
He's on his Dr. House floor.
I mean,
Did he say you were a vet? I'm sorry, Steve. Did he say you were in the service?
I'm in the Army Reserve right now. So
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. And like I
thank you
said,
for your
it's
service.
so great. Do you work with a lot of vets and things like that, or you do?
we're starting to just
Good.
with the work that we're doing. I mean,
Great.
yeah.
First of all, again, Colin, thank you, man, from Veterans Walk and Talk, what he does for people and their whole group, not just him. Like, they have people, doctors like you who come in. They have shaman who do DMT ceremonies for people with severe PTSD, people who are on the verge of ending their life. And, you know, it changes their life. And to be able to see that we're finally at the age where people can utilize these things, even if it's illegal. Nobody's showing up at the park to bust somebody for taking a DMT treatment with a shaman. I mean, they will.
I don't even think mushrooms show up on a drug test.
They don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Do they? Is that
They could. I mean,
if they're testing for psilocybin.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they have to be tested for it. Like
a
usually,
special panel.
Yeah, if you're like getting the security guard test, they're not testing for psilocybin, I'm sure.
No,
You know,
not most. Not most.
I just wish we would have had a little more information, you know, prior to I remember always taking mushrooms for the fact of getting fucked up. Like never
Or
to
to
like
see stuff.
Yeah, to see. I want to go trip. I want to leave.
Which
You
is
know,
the
but
average person.
I did. I never thought about it in terms of helping me
Medicine.
with intent, medicine to like even in smaller doses. Like I wish I would have known that. I might have been able to conquer things a lot quicker, or maybe come to conclusions that I might have needed to earlier in life. Because like I'm saying, it was an amazing thing to be able to turn that bad day around.
Sure.
In a just with
30
it's
minutes.
amazing.
Yeah, I think one of the things that just kind of came up for me is like your point. You talked about the imaging of seeing like the brain do what it does, and I don't think we have an appropriate understanding of how powerful our brain is, and to think that like what we really do for recreation is, no offense to the bottle of Jameson over there, is like it's a neurodepressant. Like it diminishes our cognitive capacity,
Correct.
which can help. It calms you down. Totally understand. But again, like
Microdosing shots right here.
yeah, like,
No.
but there are like I wish we would have gotten to this place sooner, and unfortunately, legislation in the 60s and
Would
70s.
you say weed is like that too? From your, in your opinion, I'm not saying this is medical research, but in your opinion, would you say weed is like that?
I think it has less negative impact and negative potential than alcohol does, for sure.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
absolutely, 100.
Yeah.
We both, Chris is 9 years, and I'm like 7 years no alcohol. We stick to just what comes from the ground. Just,
Yeah.
Just weed.
just cannabis
weed and shrooms.
and psilocybin.
Totally.
It's like
Yeah.
people, we don't knock nobody for drinking because enjoy what you have to do.
Yeah, I
For
mean,
sure.
it's like, but there's some people that I get
Correct.
it. Like, man, there's some people like me that's like, hey, you can handle your scandal, bro. Every time,
Yep.
whatever you do, you always
Sure.
handle your stuff. And there's a lot of people that cannot, and they
Totally.
they're wearing a very bad jersey for this recreational, activity right
Yeah.
here.
And it's all different for each people. Like
Yes.
Chris's could have, his problem with alcohol can be completely
Totally.
different
Yeah.
than the type of problem I have, but they're both valid.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, I got nasty, I got mean, I got angry, I got in fights, I got in trouble, I
Yeah.
got depressed, and it also made me do Scarface amounts of cocaine for
Yeah.
years in
What do
a
you
row.
mean?
You know what I mean. And it was a horrible thing, and especially what I just told you, I'm bipolar. So imagine drinking a 750 of Jack a day, 5 to 7 grams
That's
of
a
blow a
lot,
day,
dog.
Hell
and then
yeah.
2 bars of Xanax to sleep. That's like a death sentence. Like, so now
It's
to
like
be
the
able
stripper's diet.
Word, yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but it was really, really bad. And it's like now that that's done, I could function, my brain is clear, and I don't have the fluctuation because like alcohol alone. Well, you have those ups and downs. You know, when you first start drinking, you're feeling the best. It's like life of the party. Halfway through, maybe you're getting tired and grumpy, and it's like there's different stages of that. And it's like with this, I don't have those side effects. I don't have that. I don't wake up in the morning and look at my phone and say, "Oh fuck, who did I curse out? Who did I do this? Who do I gotta say I'm sorry to?"
Yeah,
You know?
none of that. And one of the things with that dose I took, which is the half gram or whatever, the one thing is that I just whenever I do certain things, I like to go by a time frame of sorts, right? And so usually, because he according to Blaze, he was like, yeah, don't worry, it's nothing, right? And so I was like under the impression like, oh, it's going to be like 6 hours, right? So it was 10 and a half hours while I felt
Good Lord.
waves. You know what I mean? Just off the half gram.
And that's a good testament to understand that everyone's a little different. Again, it's like he has a sensitivity that I guess in one way that's a benefit, but in also another way it's something to really be concerned or just cautious. I'd say cautious about it.
Yeah.
You know, because you got to know what you're getting yourself into, and by educating, you know, everyone and telling everybody, like, you know, it really depends on the quality of what you're getting, and then also the dosing of what you're getting.
Yes.
And most people, almost everyone, is going to enjoy a smaller dose than a larger dose.
Oh yeah.
And that's more of an acceptable level to, you know, to get familiar enough to where then maybe you can graduate a little bit and have these better intentions of what you might be looking for. But there's a statistic that I felt would be really appropriate to point out, and that is there are 300 million people who suffer from severe depression. I think maybe you could either, have you seen that, or I've read
easily.
a few articles. 300 million people that they know of that have severe depression. That's like, you know, suicidal, right? So then it made me think, well, okay, how many people are depressed then? Because I mean, look, I think I'm a happy guy. I've had a great life.
Till you're home alone.
And then and I still suffer. I still suffer from depression. You know, so to some degree that it has a way to trickle into my life. So then I think we're probably dealing with billions of people that have depression. You know,
absolutely.
And what do we know? What do we do about it? Well, social media is probably nothing but the absolute like devil to it, brutal. Every other treatment that we've got, you know, medically speaking, pharmaceutically speaking, it's palliative, not curative. You know, there's
fact.
Yeah,
They want to treat you. They don't want to cure you.
They want you taking their.
There's no money in a cure. There's money in long-term, lifetime treatment.
Exactly, and here we are with a plant that, you know, grows. It can grow naturally, but it has to be grown very carefully, you know, to make it work the way we want it to. And it has this incredible power. I mean, it's changing. You know, I think it's changed maybe every one of our lives here.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Do you feel high, doctor?
Right now?
Yeah.
No, I'm
second
good.
Yeah, he was working. today.
I was
I
wondering
gotta
the
go.
whole time because we did that shit to Tony Hawk where he doesn't smoke.
Yeah.
Oh, you meant from the secondhand smoke.
Yeah, that's what I
Oh,
meant.
oh.
Like, cause
No.
we obliterated him at the end. He was like, "Dude, it's like I just want McDonald's."
Yeah, he had to pull over from driving.
No, I'm good. I do have to go back to work though. So I gotta keep it.
Hey,
We
man,
won't blow it towards you. I'll keep the
Yeah, I've
dabs
been
out
trying
of
to
your
go
face.
upstairs. I'm just like, oh man.
That's half the
dude,
reason why I'm wearing a mask here. I heard about y'all. I know you guys go down with the so
like, there's lives
Yeah.
at stake here. Well, don't jeopardize the doctor.
Hey, Dr. Ryan, I saw you make the face when you both talked about how brutal social media is to the mind.
Sure.
How, like, can you give us like a term, like, explain more on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're now in a world where we think technically we're more connected than we've ever been.
Yeah.
Yet we're also more isolated than we've ever been.
Yep.
And now we have this platform that is a relentless reminder of who you are or who you are not, quote unquote, which really is unfortunate for kids or anyone who is either having a developing mind, like especially younger kids, and then also for older people that, you know, are constantly comparing, taking the best moments in someone's life that are often manicured and manipulated,
Right.
and assuming that's real. And I think, unfortunately, we've lost the ability to actually communicate and connect with people. And one of the most important aspects of health is community. And now we have, you know, these global communities, quote unquote, but we don't actually have community. Like, people don't know how to talk to each other. People don't know how to have conversations.
Right.
And then also you just assume that, like, because I throw you some love on Instagram, I throw you a heart or a comment, that's like, oh, I'm there for that person. Like, you're not there for that person. Like, it's easy. It doesn't require any effort. So, yeah, it's one of those things where I think for the mind, especially, it's a perilous landscape, because now, like, people lose themselves. They have no ability to figure out, like, you know, who am I? Actually, they just try to figure out, how do I compare to another person based on followers and whatever, things like that. It's not real.
There's another interesting statistic that I remember we were having a conversation about, and that was anxiety. And you had told me that before they created, the pharmaceutical company created benzodiazepines, which is Valium or Xanax, any of them, there was a level of anxiety, and that was the response was to create this drug to treat that. Since the creation of benzodiazepines, the increase is like
3,000% increase in the cases of people that are anxious. So
is that not crazy?
Again, it's one of those things where like any medicinal, like any FDA approved medication, only has to prove efficacy in a small percentage of people.
Right.
The larger percent may have no effect or it may have an adverse effect. I read a stat the other day that the average American adult is on 4 prescription medications. Like, that's insane. You shouldn't have to take 4 meds to stay alive. It's just one of those things where
and they're incredibly dangerous. Like, benzos are one of the most deadly withdrawals. Like, when I was going through my whole thing and I had to actually detox before, there were only 2 things that I had to worry about. It was alcohol and benzos, meaning those 2 things, if you're a heavy user and you're addicted physically, those are things that can cause seizures and strokes and things like that can kill you. Crack and heroin and opiates, believe it or not, they're not as dangerous. They're very severe, meaning you'll be sick, you have a less chance of dying. Benzos are a very dangerous withdrawal.
I tried that
They're
shit
evil.
one time. That
Yeah,
shit
they're
was too
evil.
much. I just never liked pills. I think I'm thankful that I've never had that addictive personality for prescription pills.
Oh, me neither. Well, I needed the Xanax because I was a fucking cokehead and I couldn't sleep without it. Real talk. You do all that coke all night, you think you're going to sleep?
Yeah, you must have been doing a lot. Eventually, I fall asleep.
6-7 grams a day?
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah,
Here we go.
a lot.
Here we go, and here we go
It's
again.
an expensive habit.
Yeah, no, I was selling it. It was cheap. I can afford it.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm glad that shit was poison. It was the worst part of my life.
What do you mean?
You knew fucking damn well what And I love, like when you hear people, well, actually, you know what? I shouldn't say that. You can't judge. People are like, yeah, I was partying last night. I'm like, party? That ain't no fucking party.
Those days.
Yeah, and the funny part is, like, you see people at 2, 3 in the morning, they're like that fake smile, like, how you doing? Yeah, good. You're like, no, you ain't good. You look like death, but you got to tell yourself that to keep
showed
going.
up to work, right?
Yeah, exactly. Shit.
Driving home anywhere at 7 a.m. is the worst.
I don't miss none of that shit. I enjoy the green, natural, what comes from
these ethogens that have been here since probably well before we have, there's something to be said for that, I think. Natural, and then community, right?
Right.
Also us treating and helping each other is going to be that's going to be the bridge to make this stuff work.
Yes.
And I mean, knowing what you're doing, being educated, but also bringing someone in who maybe has experience. So you're not just taking it by yourself. You're not just taking it at a club. You're taking it at the beach when you're sitting with your friends and you're like saying, we want to have the best time today, or we want to answer these questions or whatever it is. Doesn't mean you can't take it by yourself. I'm not saying that either. Yeah. Just that, we got to support each other and hopefully more and more education, more and more, contribution to us, like being a better society, being a better, component of we're a component and we want to make this thing work together, I think. So
I have some friends that take some of the chocolate to get things accomplished creatively.
Sure.
You know what I mean? They're like, okay, hey, I gotta finish this track tonight, so I'm gonna take it, and they'll be up till like 2 or 3 and be like, cool, everything accomplished. Like, all right, you know what I mean? Like that's when on a creative side, it can really help you accomplish what you need, because sometimes we get in our own way.
Absolutely.
That is my mom. That is I don't have New Year's resolutions or anything, but the thing I started out at the beginning of the year was to stay out of my own way.
Yeah.
And I noticed that sometimes, when I could do, half gram here and half gram, I'd be like, oh, cool, things can happen and things get accomplished. And I'm like, rad, this is rad. It feels way better. You know what I mean? Just to be able to like zone in. Sometimes you might, overthink things and just all these different thoughts come into your head, and then, try and, to bring you down to a level of whatever that depression or where, the downward spiral that can lead to it. And it's just amazing to be able to hear, a lot of my friends just go, oh yeah, I did it the other day and it was rad, and like I got this song. I got this song done. You know what I mean?
Word.
Like
Well,
Killer.
it opens perspective. You know, I think we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Like, if you're used to seeing, you know, the landscape, and you're here and you look up and everything, I might not even see that green thing over there because this little black thing is in my way.
Right.
With something like this experience, it can elevate you, you know, quite literally and figuratively to see a different perspective, and so you see things maybe on a broader or a bigger view. And so creatively, especially, it can get you out of that way, like get this out of the way, and, you know, basically, you know, help you kind of take another step, you know, beyond
Beyond the clutter.
Yeah, you didn't even know that the path was over here. You know, you're just kind of going in this direction, and it can open those pathways, I think. So
It's a beautiful thing.
yeah.
Absolutely, man. That's what.
I know we don't want to keep the doctor here, though.
Yeah, doctor, you said you got to get.
I got patience.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for being
you
on the
gotta
show.
bounce now? Oh, no.
Oh.
No. He was saying he got to go back after.
Yeah.
You got to bounce.
Yeah.
He's here till 4, baby, right?
Or if you got to go.
What time? 3:30?
Yeah.
Good. So you know what we could do? Skip submissions, go right to the questions. If you guys got a super chat, do it now.
Yeah, if
We
you got
can
any
get it
questions,
done.
let's do the super chats
No,
for.
I was gonna say we should just open up the doors because we do have a
Please.
bunch of questions.
Okay,
you go.
sounds
Let's
good.
do it.
Let's go ahead. Insane Asylum. Let's open up the
Need
doors.
another piece, bro. How long is this supposed to take?
What's up?
No, I'm like, how long is this supposed to take? I might have another piece.
Oh, yeah, go for it. You ate the whole half? Oh, you didn't finish it.
No, I did. That's
Oh,
that's in
okay.
there.
All right, let's do this. The first one up right now, we got. Let's see, we got The Business saying, in honor of this occasion, I just ate a mushroom for the show.
Oh, medicate.
Me too.
And we
Good
got
shit.
Gaming with Wood saying, does taking mushrooms help weaning or overcoming alcoholism?
Maddie, you want to take the first stab at that?
Well, I know that there's definitely a lot of research that you can certain things like even smoking, right? The smoking cessation. There are studies that show psilocybin is capable of, and I think, you know, I can't speak to too much, you know, truth on alcoholism because I don't know, medically speaking, but there are studies, I think, that talk about psilocybin being capable of treating addiction, 100%. I know that there. If you look that up, dig in a little bit, just dig in on Google, and you will find plenty of studies that Harvard, Stanford, you know, Duke University, they have all studied this stuff.
They do that shit in Mexico rehabs.
Yeah, and
Like
and
those
so
hardcore cases. They
Yeah,
like. I know
you'll
people.
find. Yeah. You'll
Yeah.
find it. There is, if you guys do a little digging, you'll find a lot of you know, research out there that shows things like, you know, treatment of addiction for sure.
Yeah, I concur.
Yeah.
And we got Angel up in here saying, can you guys explain what you guys think causes bad trips?
Yeah. So, I mean, neurochemically, it's. I don't think we know per se. I don't know of any cases of people that are using psilocybin that have quote unquote bad trips. I think for people, at least in my experience working with patients and then myself, like sometimes there's things that you don't want to address in your lifestyle and your personality. That's not pleasant, but I don't necessarily think that's a quote unquote bad trip. I think anything that is synthetically created, so like LSD, like sometimes the compound may not be as pure as you'd like it to be. And that, I mean, you're playing with chemistry, you're playing with receptors in your brain, and there's it's not always, you can't be certain how your brain's going to respond, especially if you're, you know, in a laboratory coming up with some chemical. To your point with MDMA, LSD, ketamine, like unless you're getting it from a trusted source that's doing quality assurance, like it's possible that you could have some sort of bad chemical reaction, especially in the brain. But usually with mushrooms, I mean, other than nausea, like
Set and setting, I think, you know, that's the biggest
Yes.
one is your setting is critical, you know, like are you in a dark dungeon or are you outside in the beach? I would always recommend during the day when it's sunny, outside, outdoors for sure.
Absolutely.
So setting is key.
On a hike.
And yep, on a hike, you know, nature, just nature. I mean,
That's what they do. They go on hikes.
Yeah.
That's what you guys do.
That's the best.
No, the veterans walk and talk.
Yeah.
Walk
Or
and
they
talk.
do- they
'Cause
walk and
go on
talk.
the. They go
Yeah,
on
I think being
hikes.
in nature is super important.
That's all
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
Immersed in nature with their buddies talking, and
I
they
took
get
home
through
rabbit.
everything together.
Yeah.
And people in Japan just literally walk in forests, and it's
I
shown to
believe
help
it.
reduce anxiety, help improve depression. So
You said they walk in what?
forests,
Forests.
like literally just forests.
Just
Oh,
walk.
like 4 at a time? What do you mean?
Forests.
Like,
God damn it.
we're trees.
Plethora of trees.
We're trees.
I did another piece, all right? I couldn't fucking hear
Los
it.
Angeles.
We don't have time for this.
Like
Good
for
question.
like for us.
I didn't understand what he was
Forest.
saying. Okay.
Forest.
Forest. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I understand now. I know what a fucking forest is, bro. Yeah.
I don't do drugs.
Go ahead, Golden.
And we got Ronan up in here asking, what's the recommended microdose for beginners?
I mean, I guess I could answer that. Again, it depends. It really does. But like for me, which I can tell you, I'm a very seasoned veteran. My microdose is 125 milligrams. That's a pretty small amount. And I think if you were to try and put it into like a microdose or a small microdose,
Tenth
is
of a
this,
gram?
I prefer 125 milligrams, which is that's small.
Tenth of a gram, correct?
Yeah, it's
Little over a
like,
tenth.
it's a small dose, but with the right varietals, the proper.
You have it balanced. Like you know exactly what kind, right?
Yeah. I mean, I use my blend as this consistent way to utilize it as my microdose. So I go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I take breaks in between to let my receptors kind of. I wouldn't. Recovery is not the right word. It's just I feel like it's more impactful for me if I go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Some people they're Monday through Friday. And
That's my
then they
mom.
take-
Monday
they take
through
the weekend
Friday,
off.
Saturday, and Sunday off.
And I have other friends that are like, and I'm 125 milligrams 3 times a week. I've got friends that are like, they want to take at least half a gram, if not more. These are guys who have
Right.
severe PTSD,
Right.
and they want to take higher dosages, and they do it daily because they say that they feel happy.
There you go.
Day to day to day, and when they
That's
don't, they don't. So everyone's a little bit different. I would say just start off small. If it was to recommend, it would be just start off at a small level. See if you feel it. A microdose should not be psychoactive. In my opinion, I think a proper microdose should not be psychoactive. So you'll feel, and you can, like when I take it, I'm very articulate when I'm speaking. It's actually it's a benefit. It's a positive. I can, handle things in my office a little bit more articulately than before. I'll have it with my coffee, and I do it in the morning. But it shouldn't be psychoactive. You shouldn't, with a microdose, you should not be like,
You shouldn't trip.
like, whoa, what was that? Like you don't want those kind of reactions. That wouldn't be considered a microdose. So
Yeah, I read some work that says like 125 milligrams, which is 0.125 grams, so a tenth of a gram, just a touch.
Right.
Per 100 pounds of body weight. Like, granted, that's like not medical advice. That's just what I've seen in some
A
papers.
scale.
Yeah, it's what some outlines use, and
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Exactly what you just
yeah.
said.
So I mean, I'm a bigger
But
guy.
for everybody, it's different.
Everyone's different.
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it depends what you're trying to achieve, right? Like you said, if you're just doing it from like brain function,
Right.
or if you're trying to elevate your mood,
That's right.
because then you're going to want to
Right.
increase
There's
that
a
dose.
big difference there. Yeah.
Every day is different, though.
That was, the
Yep.
difference of the half gram as opposed to where it was like whoosh.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where if I
But
would
that
have done,
whoosh got you through the day.
it was
made you
great.
happy.
But I'm saying, like, if
Yeah.
I would have done half that, I might have been able to just
Function
function
better.
at a normal and
Still
just,
write
and,
your
like,
name on the paper.
I still would have, I still would have felt great, but I wouldn't have. Maybe it wouldn't have been so overwhelming in
Yep.
certain parts of the day. You know what I mean?
Right.
So hell yeah.
And we got Megan up in here saying lots has changed since the 80s and 90s with shrooms. I want to try psilocybin. What's the difference between then and now?
Psilocybin's still psilocybin.
Sure.
That's just the active ingredient in mushrooms, Megan.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. And the difference is now you've got everybody and their mother trying to grow it, and so that's the thing you got to be careful of. Is again, knowing your source. Just like anything else, you know what that shitty Pavlov vodka will do to you
Right.
when you drink, or I don't know what kind of
Georgie
champagne.
vodka.
UV vodka.
Like, yeah, there we go. You know what that can do versus, a bottle of something like
Right.
Kettle One or
Some
or
top
whatever.
tier.
Yeah, it's not. Sorry, that's a bad comparison to try and just. But I think people.
No, but it
understand.
hits here. It
They
does. It
understand.
hits.
Right.
Yeah, like
little
in
different.
anything we do, and what you put into your body, whether it's organic, grape or a GMO grape, there's definitely, so yes, there are important variables that you want to try and understand because they can be crap. I've heard people eating a ton of mushrooms that they didn't even feel anything,
Yeah.
and then they actually kind of had gotten a bit of an adverse effect, like a headache and those kind of things. But you could and should be able to eat just a little tiny amount and have a positive outcome.
Yeah,
So,
people out here buying stuff that's still moldy and shit. Look, people,
Yeah.
you should still put that same kind of focus you would as the same way you're trying to avoid shit like fentanyl and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, put that same kind of thought into mushrooms that could change your life. You know what I mean? Be like, hey, this shit's still weird. I don't want to buy this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of fools that are grimy that'll sell you some shit. I've been sold some shit. I'm like, hey, I ain't
Yeah.
buying this, dog. You know?
Yeah, I think what you said is really important to know your source, to know where you're getting.
Fact.
Just like the pride that and the precision we take with knowing exactly where our weed comes
Right.
from, and you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Agreed.
Like, and we know the growers, and we know like
If
what
somebody
they
gave
use.
us trash, we would know automatically. Be like, nah, dude, take this shit as PM. I
Yeah.
ain't putting that shit in my
Yeah.
lungs.
Now you got to know what you're doing on that side as well.
Right.
Yep. All right, good. Colton.
And we got
Good
Sven up
Russian.
in here saying, how does it work in drug testing? Does psilocybin come up as anything?
I think we talked about it. Not unless it's specifically being tested for. For the most part, people care about, especially for employment,
Right.
cannabis.
Are they testing
opiates.
policemen and firefighters and stuff for
I don't believe so.
psilocybin? I don't think so either. I
Yeah.
think it's on that panel.
I don't think they're testing a lot.
Yeah.
For anything.
The only thing I know is that it's a specific panel,
Right.
and so it has to be, requested for that specific.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the lab has the standard for it too.
Right. Yeah.
Word.
And we got the mighty mathematician in here saying, hello, gentlemen. Is there any way you can discuss the relationship mycelium has with the roots of the fruiting plants?
That's a Mr. Magic question.
Yeah, actually, I mean, it definitely. So the mycelium, just so everyone else can understand, mycelium is essentially the root structure of a mushroom or any fungus, really. So any fungus, mycelium is the. It's very similar to like a neural network. Like in our brain, we have neurological connections, and it connects everything to. And the mycelium does the same thing, and then actually. A great way for people to understand what mycelium and how mycelium works is there is an amazing documentary, and I believe it's on Netflix still, and it's called The Fantastic Fungi. And so if any of y'all are like really looking to, expand your understanding of what mushrooms and fungus in general, not just magic mushrooms, but, just mushrooms in general, mycelium is the root structure. It has a direct relation to, especially the psilocybin, because there is psilocybin in the mycelium, but on low levels. So it's, but it's what is integrated with the grain bags, or what you would call the nutrients that the mushrooms are fruiting from. So it is a very important component. And
Like any other plant or anything else, just like weed. If you don't have strong roots or a good root system,
right.
you can't get the nutrients into the plant.
Yep.
Same concept.
Yep, same concept. Yep. But watch Fantastic Fungi, and that'll really open and expand, I think, a lot of people's understandings of what fungus and what mushrooms, fruiting bodies, all of those kind of terminology that we've been talking about will help explain.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
And we got Honey Buncho Slugs up in here saying, how long does shrooms stay in the system?
Well, it really depends.
Do you mean blood testing wise? Is that what they're asking? Or how long do you stay high for?
I would think that, probably the latter. Like,
Okay.
it really depends. You were saying it lasted, almost 10 hours, right?
Yeah.
And for someone else, it could last, 3 to 4 hours. I know when I am ingesting, anything upwards of a gram, then I would expect it to be about 4 hours, like probably 3-4 hours.
And just in case it was the other way around, how long does it stay in your blood for testing? Any idea?
I've heard anywhere from 6 to 12 hours.
Oh,
is
that's
basically
it?
what I've seen. Yeah, it's
Oh, cool.
metabolized pretty quickly, but
And
in terms
out.
of in
Basically.
terms of the experiential effect,
Yeah.
again,
But stays in your blood only 6-12 hours or something like that. Oh,
yeah.
great.
That's cool. Is it because it's more of a natural, so it's able to metabolize quicker as opposed to something else that might stay like in your system longer?
I think it's because it's ingested and
It's
passed
ingested.
through.
Oh,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
One thing I've noticed where it's lasted a long time for me has been when I'm eating raw mushrooms, like ones that have not been processed, ground up. You know, they're in the
Little
solid
capsule.
hurting body. What happens is you just don't digest it fast. You know, like it stays. It's hard. That stuff sometimes
Sure is,
like
like-
cellulose. It's like a woody like fiber.
Yeah.
So it can take a lot longer. So if you're eating chunks of
It
raw,
tastes like shit.
and it tastes horrible.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You can never get that
Gag.
taste.
Literally,
not
I
too
just
bad,
gag.
dude.
What do you
Some
mean?
people like it.
So,
Some people
well,
do
It tastes like fucking like sunflower seeds, bro.
Tastes fucking gross, bro.
Dude, there's that taste.
Yeah,
Tastes
the, other,
disgusting.
the other thing is like plants have defense mechanisms too. Not to go off on too much of a tangent, but like they don't want to be consumed. Like that's not their design.
Correct.
So one of the things that a lot of people experience with mushrooms and psilocybin is nausea, because that's the natural reaction to the plant trying to prevent itself from being
Eaten.
digested. So yeah,
Slave fan.
that's the other thing is like that's part of the reason why I don't think there's as much of an addictive potentiality, especially with psilocybin, is because it's not always the most comfortable experience, especially as it starts setting in. Like people get a little like
upset
uncomfortable.
stomach.
Start yawning a lot.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
'Cause,
the
I mean,
tryptophan, right?
It's an indicator.
Yeah.
Because I always yawn, and I asked Mr. Magic over here because I was like, "Why when I take mushrooms, I yawn a lot,
Yes.
but I'm not tired?" And he said that was from the tryptophan.
Yeah.
That's what I've found. I mean, I could probably maybe there could be a better medical explanation, but I think that from what I've determined, there is tryptophan in mushrooms. It definitely causes that kind of.
So when the yawning stops, the high's gone.
No.
No, it's definitely not.
starts.
Definitely not.
Because that felt like
the beginning
stretching.
of it, I
and-
guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like your body's initial reaction.
I felt that like 5 minutes ago. Like, yeah, it started to sit away.
Oh, it's the best when you want to stretch too. You're just like, oh, you just like,
Yep.
it feels so good.
Go get a
So good.
Go get a massage on a microdose.
Oh, I don't know. Would that? That'd
That'd be pretty good if you could handle yours. You know?
Higher
Yeah.
dose. Micro. It's pretty funny.
But that's a little bit though, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Just a
I
little
have to
bit.
stop doing alcohol and drugs. What is a little bit? You
Yeah.
guys see me with the dabs. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as a little bit.
He's only doing dabs
There's
today.
only full speed ahead.
The
That's
doctor's probably going to be like, hey, dude, all you guys need to get your lungs checked out. this is several types of abuse I've seen going on here.
I'm taking notes.
it. Questions before he goes.
And we
Yeah.
got Danny up in here saying, my wife has had pain under her right rib for about a year, and no doctors can figure out what's causing her pain. Can mushrooms possibly help with pain?
That's that's a good question. Directly, I don't know of any specific mechanism that would connect mushrooms associated with pain. So that would be my answer for that. I wouldn't seek it out specifically for pain.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't seem like there's enough to support that it would be, but I do know a couple individuals who do use it to treat their chronic pain. But again, it's individual.
Yeah.
Probably depends
Everybody's-
what the pain's
everybody's-
derived from.
Yeah.
Maybe
Is it
forget about the
nerves,
pain.
muscle.
Sure. What we do know is that it has a massive impact for people with migraines.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of studies, and that they
right
found
on.
because migraine pain is not necessarily the same as neurological pain. It's basically a different kind of a physical pain is different from what you experience with a migraine, and they haven't been able to understand it as well as they would like to. It still seems to be a bit of a mystery, but the research that they've done with psilocybin as a potential for treatment is like seriously, I guess inspiring. It seems like it's a really,
Okay, Golden.
And next up in here, we got DMT saying, is there a point of diminishing returns with psilocybin mushrooms?
You want to take that one?
Well, I mean, that's kind of an interesting question in the sense that I'm not sure if I understand exactly what you mean, other than like if you
Is there a point that's too much?
Yeah, if you eat too much, is it diminishing? Yeah, absolutely. I've done very, very high doses, and I think that over a certain degree, it's just your body just processes it. It just basically kicks it back out. So either you'll get sick and you'll, vomit it out, or you just don't really. So I guess what I would say, without trying to recommend or anything other than just saying that anything over 5 grams of mushrooms at one time is really, that's about the diminishing return. Like you
So we're doing
could do
it.
7,
Yeah.
you could do 10, you could do 12. It's not going to do you much better.
Right.
You set the intention. That's the big thing, is like, know what you're looking for, what you want to get out of it. And then, there's a certain degree where
And it's how
just a
much at a
waste.
time, because I've literally eaten like an ounce in a day.
Sure.
Because I was eating like 2-3 grams at a time every 3-4 hours.
Sure.
That's
but if
body
I would have
abuse,
taken
dude.
that, if I would have taken that all at one time, that would have been a completely different story.
Yeah. And I've eaten mushrooms excessively, and it makes you vomit.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah.
Tyson, when he did it, when he showed up, first of all, with the Hero Bar, he took 3 grams of it like he thought it was nothing.
like it was candy?
But he was like, yeah, man. He was like, I ate like 5 grams. I threw up right before I got here, but I'm good now because it's intense.
Yeah,
When you
sure.
get that much,
Sure.
it is intense. It can cause it, man.
Your body's definitely trying to like, what have you done to
Shit,
me?
what are you out of your
What
fucking
are
mind?
you crazy?
Yeah, what are you fucking crazy? Fuck out of here. That's what it's saying. It throws up. Fuck out of here. And then throw up.
What do you mean? That's your body saying, what do you mean?
Word.
And we got Gabriel up in here saying, shout to the Greenthumb crew. Question for the professionals. If you make mushroom tea and strain out the mushroom, does the effect last less? Or is it better to eat the whole mushroom?
So I think it definitely is. You'll lose some of what that fruiting body can have to offer, but I prefer tea is a great way. I mean, it's certainly a way to kind of extract, and then you don't have to eat the the biomass part of it. But if you really want to get the most out of it, then I would say, it softens up, so it's not like all hard, and it digests, I think, a lot easier that way. So I would say if you really want to get the most out of it, then you'd probably, unfortunately, go down that path. But you don't have to. I've done it with and without, and it works great.
Yeah. It hits quicker in the tea.
It does, yeah. I think the hot water probably has a...
Yeah, liquids absorb better than solids, capsules.
Hey, what's up with
tablets.
the cayenne pepper before, really quick? You put cayenne pepper in all the bars. Why is that?
Yeah, so cayenne pepper is a natural vasodilator. It has a positive effect it kind of is like a turbo boost, I guess, is one way to look at it. It speeds up your metabolism, so it acts as like a delivery mechanism. It can be kind of like a catalyst to deliver to your bloodstream. So it seems to have a really positive effect for most people, unless you don't like spice, but it's not like it's spicy.
Right, no, it's
not
not
at all.
It's just enough to kind of act as
I wouldn't know if I didn't read the ingredients.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's got a vasodilator capability that, basically speeds up your metabolism. It kind of comes up cleanly and then comes out, so you metabolize it a lot better, I think.
Hell yeah.
And we got Miguel up in here asking, do y'all have any affiliation or worked with MAPS, Organization in Psychedelic Studies?
So definitely have had some really great conversations with some amazing people throughout that organization. They are, they're so ahead of the curve. They are the curve. They are the ones that have helped set the pace for certain things. That book, The Dose of Hope, that Dr. Greene was talking about earlier, that has a lot to do with Rick Doblin, who is the CEO. And I wouldn't say any direct relationship. It's not necessarily that we're affiliated in any way. I've just been had the benefit and the pleasure of speaking with some of those individuals within the organization, and they are really. That's another one to look up, research, dig in, see what they're doing, because they're kind of setting the course for how this is all gonna map out.
Cool.
Yeah, I would say we're benefiting from the wake of what they've done, and so we're grateful. I'm grateful.
Yeah,
Everyone should be.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look him up, Rick Doblin. He's the Godfather.
Yep. Next.
And next up in here, we got Marbell asking Doc, is there any drug to help with Colton's Spanish?
The kid.
Damn.
He can't roll R's. He can't pronounce
yeah.
anything.
Yeah, it's
It's just one good one, Marbell.
yeah.
Oh, you got to get going?
Yeah.
Okay, hey, guys,
Hey.
I'm going to go walk him out real quick. So
Yeah, hey,
thank you so much.
Dr. Ryan Greene, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, y'all.
Where can they
Appreciate
find you?
At Instagram at Dr._Greene with an E at the end, _DO, Dr._Greene_DO. And then if you want to check out what we're doing with Monarch at Monarch Clubs. And then Wake Clinics is wake.net. So.
Any other shout outs, man?
No, I'm just grateful to be here. Grateful
Awesome.
you guys
Thank you
have
so
an open-ended
much for
conversation.
coming, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming by.
And
You're more than welcome anytime.
yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Hell yeah. All right, let's go ahead and let's sweep to something real quick, and then we'll come right back.
My boy had an X6, you know what I'm saying? So he had an X6, he used to drive around, you know what I'm saying, be in the hood, you know what I mean, with the X6. So I always, like, as a kid, like, I'll be like, yo, man, just with my material, always working on my material, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anything I seen,
Metaphor
bro.
shit.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? Like, putting shit together. And then later, like, earlier that week, I had one to see an emoji. This is when I just started touching around my homeboy iPhone, because I couldn't afford it back then, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was seeing emojis just in the iPhone. It was some new emoji that popped across my mind. It was the panda. And I'm like, damn, I never really, noticed the panda. I started playing with the emoji that week, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And then all that shit, I just making the bars with it, seeing shit, making the bars with it.
Shout out to BREALTV. Shout out to BREAL. Onyx, Cypress Hill, we doing this shit for the culture. Like I said, this is real rap. None of that bullshit.
Cypress Hill is ready. Onyx is ready.
You can't buy respect. You got it, you don't. You have it or you don't. They've been having it, and not only when you have it, you got to prove that you got it.
Every time.
It makes people like dig into their song, the catalog at the end of the day. It makes them really say, man, hip hop is a special music when it's together.
Welcome to another edition of the Smoke Box for BREALTV. I'm BREAL, aka Dr. Greenthumb, with my very special guest up in here, my man, the GOAT, Styles P,
brother,
in the motherfucking building. We've been waiting on you, Chief.
I'm here.
And he's here.
I'm here.
Yes, and we're joined by my man, Cali Blaze, King of Concentrates over there.
What up, what up?
And my man, C-, DJ C-, legendary. What you know about that? And we're blazing off on 10 mil funky field tips right here. And, we're going to set it off with some insane whatever. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the box, my friend. I got to commend you on a fucking terrific performance on Versus.
Oh, thank you.
Y'all came with the Merc show that day. That was a proper way to Merc the party and to set it off. And fucking hats off, all y'all came with it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But y'all really came with it.
It was a great day,
and it was a
great day for hip hop.
Out of a lot of the verses that have happened, that's probably one of the ones that's one of the most talked about because of the competitive nature of it.
Yeah, that's what made it great.
And
those are our brothers. Like, you know what I mean? That's what made it real dope. And just to be able to show, because a lot of places, like for me personally, like I always feel, down south in Cali is definitely more unification when it comes to people working together. Yeah, but I feel like the origin of New York is not like that. Like all of the greats don't have songs together like that. Like you got symphonies, but you don't have a KRS Rakim. You don't got a KRS Coogee. You don't. So I think our nature is to be just obsessively competitive. So I think that's frowned upon nowadays because of the success of Unity, which I understand.
I get
which
that.
is dope, but like I feel the success of that Unity has took out the competitive edge in hip hop, and it's like a lot of people aren't just competitive. And I think anytime you get in a booth, studio with anybody, it could be I'm never going in the studio hoping Chic or Kiss get a better verse than me.
No.
When it happens, I love it, and the people, whoever loves them more is cool and it's fine, but you always shoot for MVP.
Right.
Always. You always shoot for MVP. Right. You always, and you get in the booth, you're supposed to be competitive.
I like the way you look at that, because, you know, I used to call it, and I still do, the head chop. You know what I'm saying? You're looking to chop the head, right? You know, competitively in a friendly situation, because you don't want to be the weak link on the verse ever. And I think the competitive nature, that's what makes the best songs.
Definitely.
Because, you know...
BREALTV.
Yeah. What up, everyone? We're back. C minus. To my right, Psycho Leezy.
Salud.
World famous beat.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Nuts. Of course, we got Mr. Magic.
Mr.
Still here.
Magic.
Still here to take some questions. We got Bra, Dom, and Rara, and Colt Bolton in the treehouse, and we got Cali Blaze to my left. We got some more questions?
Oh, yeah. Next question is the Glitch 713. How long can shrooms be stored for if stored properly? And how to properly store them?
Great question.
So they are really sensitive to two things specifically, and that would be UV light or any light in general, and then air. So I would say, you know,
that's the same as weed, just so you know.
Yeah. So they're best kept probably in their. I've read and found and had experience, you know, all the way around. But basically, you want to use them within about, I would say, 6 months would probably be. It's not like at 6 months they're not going to work. They're just going to lose potency, you know, consistently all the way. So yeah, you want to keep them away from light and air, so in a dark place. But you're not trying to like suck all the air. You don't want to like vacuum seal them or anything either.
Really?
Yeah, that doesn't really have an effect either. I think that's why the chocolate is such a strong contribution to their let's call it half-life, because it acts almost like a preservative. So it locks everything in. It has a benefit. But yeah, I would say a few months. You know, 3 to 6 months raw mushrooms. And if you're gonna keep them and store them, yeah, use them quickly and then keep them in the dark.
Now, how long would a chocolate bar be considered good for?
You know, I've when we first started kind of you know, processing and putting them in the Mylar wrapper and basically setting out about a year. I put out product, you know, every time we do a production run, I'm basically setting things out aside. And so I know for sure 1 year is appropriate. You know, after that, the chocolate can kind of degrade a little bit. Right. And it won't, it's not that it's bad for you. It's not that it's going to hurt you. It just isn't going to taste as good, and it could lose potency. You know, but I found that at the course of about 1 year is
1 year.
Yeah.
Good to know. So if someone gave me a piece of chocolate in June and I decided to eat it around October, November, I should be good if I keep it refrigerated.
Yeah, no, actually, so there's I think there's a understanding about refrigeration with real chocolate anyway. Real chocolate, which is using cocoa butter, that is definitely different than what you'd consider a compound chocolate, which are products that they use that just have like palm oil and stuff. So with real chocolate, for example, with cocoa butter, the biggest the kryptonite to chocolate is moisture. So when you put it into a refrigerator, it's not that that's bad per se, but when you take it out, a bar can sweat. Right. And then that causes moisture, and that can degrade the quality of the chocolate and the quality of the psilocybin. So I would say I would not recommend putting it in the refrigerator, just a dark, cool place. But if your only option for cool place is refrigerator, that's going to work.
A lot of people put it there because it's not tempered. I know yours is
Keep it
properly
fresh.
tempered too.
Right.
So.
Right. Yep.
Let me ask you something.
Sure.
Is it cool to smoke and drink and do it all?
Well, you know, I think that, again, it's just a matter of like knowing. So what I would say is if you're used to smoking and drinking, but you're not used to mushrooms, I would just say start with just a little bit. Yeah,
Tiny,
just try
yeah.
it and just kind of get your bearings, right?
Right.
I don't think that they counteract each other. One thing I do know with cannabis and mushrooms together, that it's significant.
Yes.
It's a very significant contribution, if you want to call it that. You know, I like to drink when I'm eating mushrooms. You know, I you know, it's part of that whole you know, thing that just feels good. You know, so I don't think one or the other is
Little whiskey.
Yeah, I like that.
Little sip of something.
Yeah, sure. A margarita while I'm hanging with my friends on the beach, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a crossfade.
They go well together.
It's a crossfade that's worth it, I believe.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
I remember when I was, you know, the first time walking around with friends doing, and I think one of the most important things that any advice I'd give to anyone looking to try for the first time is like you both, you and both Dr. Ryan said, be comfortable with your surroundings and the people that you do it with.
That's the big one. The
That's
people that you do it with.
The people, you got to be comfortable. You got to want to be around these people, and they got to be welcoming and nurturing, and kind of like, because it's gonna feel crazy.
Yeah.
And then you want to be able to, you want to feel like trusting in this situation, and then you start you start to open up, and you're like, you know what I mean?
And then you start laughing, and then when you're with your good friends and you laugh till you cry, you're laughing and you're crying, you're like, what the fuck? You know, like
you didn't know you needed that, and it just everything. You know what I mean? And I think it's really important for you know, when you do it, please do it around people that are there, that you want to be around, that you trust, that you know, that care for you.
Right.
You know, because you don't want your first time to be a bummer.
And if you don't have any experience, you know, with it at all, you know, try a little dose, and maybe don't try to combine it all together at once. Try, you know, and that's it. You just gotta know your bearings. You gotta know where you're at and how you feel when you're doing. And just the same thing, like one shot for one person, great. One shot for seven, you know, like that could very well not go as well, you know.
I can't believe it was half a gram that had me for 10 hours.
Shit's potent.
You know what I mean? Because, like I'm saying, last time before, it was like, you know, Ezon had given me 2 caps and stems, and now that was it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that was way more than a half gram. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, 2 caps and stems.
You know, and I was just like,
Is it possible to drive under?
No one's going to advise that.
No, I would highly, highly advise against it. Actually, that's one thing that I had experienced very early on, where I had to drive home to, you know, and I was, you know, and it is the worst. It is absolutely the worst, because your
Colton
visual,
told a great story.
Yeah. Your depth perception, everything. No way. I'd highly.
Your depth perception.
See, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
No driving.
Yeah.
I noticed that when he gave me that, and right as the first wave kicked in, I just was like, when I stepped out of the trailer that day, it was like I took an extra large step, because I was just like, whoa.
Even walking is.
What do you mean? One of our friends was walking, holding imaginary rails.
It was
It
great.
was holding him up. He stayed up.
It was
He
great.
was walking, holding rails.
He walked by us like
with the rails,
like,
with like a
it was great.
walker. Imagine it, but it held him up.
Imaginary.
Magic walker. It was a magic walker.
It was the best. It was one of the best things I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And we got Jackless94 up in here saying, yo, C-, awesome show this morning. It made my day much better. Much love to the table, and be safe, y'all.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate it. Hell yeah.
And we got Kill Your Radio up in here saying, I have an ounce of shrooms from November in a sandwich bag. Is it still good?
Yeah, they're still gonna work. You know, they're still gonna work. The truth is, they probably have lost a significant amount of potency, but that doesn't mean go eat half the bag to see if they still work. You know, just try. So I think a really good baseline marker is about half a gram. You know, half a gram to a gram. And if you got raw mushrooms, the best thing you can do is weigh them out, because I'll tell you right now, one mushroom that looks, you take a big bag, and you can have one mushroom that's right next to the other one, and one weighs,
density is
one weighs 1.5 grams, another one weighs 2.5 grams. That's that's almost twice as much.
It's all about how dense
and
it is.
it really is the level, the percentage of psilocybin that you would experience in is based off weight. That's the best thing that we know right now, is that whether it's either the strain or the varietal is a very potent one because it's been cultivated correctly, but really it's the weight. The amount of psilocybin that's in is based on weight. So weigh it out. Half a gram, maybe a gram. You know and then you work from there. Yeah. I think half a gram is going to be a good starting point.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And we got to business up in here saying, great show today, guys. Recently started microdosing, and I'm feeling the benefits. Is it recommended to start your day with a dose or dose as needed?
So, there's probably a couple, schools of thought there, maybe a couple different camps of people that either, so I know individuals that take it before they go to bed because it helps them sleep.
What?
Our friend, I don't know how he does that.
I
I can't fucking do that.
I take mine first in the morning.
Yeah, me too.
I wake up, I have it with my coffee, I mix it with some other functional mushrooms like lion's mane, cordyceps, and reishi, and I'll blend that together. And then typically I will try to meditate at first. So I'll take my micro, I meditate.
You're drinking, right?
Yeah. Coffee.
Coffee
Yeah.
style.
So I'll put them in coffee, or like with the chocolate, I'll take a little piece and I'll eat that with my cup of coffee. And so I prefer it in the morning because I'm a little too concerned that I wouldn't be able to shut my mind down to sleep. But I've heard other people say that it does work for them to sleep, and then throughout the day, sure. But I would think. Again, and just what I do with microdosing is I take it, at a specific time in the morning, and my regimen is every other day. So I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I wake up at 6 a.m. By about 6:30 a.m., I'll do my micro, and then I feel the effects of it. I feel the effects of it all the way through till maybe noon, maybe a little later. But it's a beneficial feeling.
Yes.
So it's a residual that lasts all the way, and in some cases. You don't feel the mushrooms the next day, but you feel better the next day.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just an overall.
Yeah.
Your sense of
better.
wellness
Yes.
is improved over those days after. Yeah.
That's actually my favorite part is the day after, because the day of, it's kind of like, whoo, it's the roller coaster ride.
Right.
But the next day is so calm and
Yeah,
pure. You know what I mean? And just
better.
Yeah.
It has almost a better feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we got Corey and Trevor up in here saying, I took 100 milligrams of mushrooms for 2 months, and it pretty much cured my depression.
Look, see what we mean?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
And we got Utah Hawk up in here saying, been shrooming since 1990. I crush some of very high and suck on them. I find this helps deliver psilocybin to the blood quicker and increases visuals on the high.
Whoa, so you're saying you suck on the shroom itself?
So I've done that myself. You kind of like treated them like a lollipop, which tastes horrible, and then in the end you're stuck with this like slug and it is awful, but it does work. And I know it's pretty, but it can work. And I think your saliva is such a powerful contribution, and then also the blood vessels in your mouth are significantly so. People
sublingually, it's a mucous membrane.
Absolutely. So I think there would be
benefit.
That's benefit.
I've seen Aton doing it, but I know he was doing it just because the shape. It was a natural fucking thing for him. And I'm like, Aton, what are you doing? He was like, oh, my bad.
Wow.
Little cock shapes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Some of them really do look like little dicks. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. I would never even think to suck on it like a like a lollipop.
I
just to
hate
get-
him, so I wouldn't do that. I'm like,
Yeah. Because there's that taste. That taste you don't ever forget, no
I
matter
like
once.
it.
Right.
Once
you had it, it's just kind of like, yeah. And you're always like afraid to kind of have to go back there. But I do know some people.
Does
who
it
actually
change the
enjoy it.
taste in your coffee?
So like I prefer to have mine. So my blend that I use is kind of a mix of specifically the way that I like them, and then I can use it in coffee. I blend mine. Sometimes I've capsulized them. It works good in chocolate, but I blend it.
But you don't taste it though.
No, you don't taste it.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's the key.
Yep.
And we got Megan up in here saying psilocybin and autism. What are your thoughts on it?
Ooh, I really can't speak much to that at all. I haven't had experience, but I wouldn't really have much to offer, I think.
And we got Element up in here saying, do you guys lemon tech? What is your favorite way of intaking mushrooms?
I'm sorry, lemon tech, was that part of the What's lemon tech?
I guess it's a way of eating it or ingesting it.
Oh, lemon tech. Oh, I see. So using citrus. Yeah.
There you go.
So using citric acid to add to it, and then it kind of
like your
make
cayenne?
it a paste. Yeah, it kind of can make it a paste. And so vitamin C, citric acid, that also can help deliver to your bloodstream a little bit better. You digest it faster. So sure, yeah, that could be a benefit as well. Absolutely.
And he said, "What's your favorite way?"
Oh, my favorite way. Honestly, tea has always been a very, very appropriate, and I think it's also a very, what would you call it? Ceremonial as well.
Right.
And then chocolate is really my most. I think it's the most enjoyable way because depending on the quality of
exactly. That's what's great about these. They taste so damn good. You want to beat more and get higher.
Make them taste good. That's the dangerous part too. Because when they taste good, you're like, oh, I think I just have some
exactly. You just keep taking nibbles like, damn man, this is sweet. And then it's like, holy shit.
And you just blew my mind by saying that they didn't need to be refrigerated. I did not know that.
Because if it's properly tempered, which they do, they don't. As long as it's not hot. If it's hot, it'll melt. But if it's in room temperature and it'll stay snappy
it'll snap. I mean, a real chocolate should have a snap to it.
Correct.
Yeah. You get into the technical side,
Correct.
like why chocolate.
Because it's the way it crystallizes.
It does, yeah. It has a crystalline structure, and so when you temper it and you take it through this curve in temperature, it actually will snap and have that, and it'll stay solid through a certain degree of temperature. But yeah, as long as it's dark and then not humid, you want it to be dry and dark, and it'll last. Like a real proper dark chocolate will last at least 2 years.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Awesome.
What if your pet ate some?
So this is a big one for people who don't know. Dogs are highly allergic to dark chocolate.
Oh yeah.
It's and I've had it happen. I've had friends who've had it happen. Oof. And if it's a small dog, that's where it's probably a lot more concerning. You don't necessarily have to rush them to the vet, but you got to be aware of their condition. Sometimes they can get, not sweat, but they get uncomfortable. They can kind of get a little.
How about forget the chocolate and the allergic, just psilocybin if they ate the mushroom?
Yeah, just the mushroom.
Just the mushroom, yeah.
So I've had a friend whose dog ate his bag of mushrooms a long, long time ago, and I don't want to be like setting an example. It was awesome.
Was it awesome or awful?
No, it was awesome because he was a big dog.
Right.
It was like probably an 80-pound dog.
Yeah.
80, 90-pound dog, golden retriever. And he was on one, and he was with us. And it was like, but it could be awful because, especially for small dogs.
Yeah. Was he like falling over and shit?
No, he was just kind of like, he knew something was a little off and a little different, but he was still a dog.
Yeah.
It's like,
see, when my dog ate weed, it was awful. Meaning he couldn't stand up. He pissed himself. No, that shit wasn't funny, man. I felt terrible. Like he's panicking. You don't know what's going on. It's horrible. So I was wondering, do you see the dog like suffering like that because he was panicking?
No. So I think the reason I would say that
Don't give your dog mushrooms, number one.
Please.
Don't do that. No, don't do that. Because you don't know, again, just like us, so we don't know. You give them a little, you give one dog a little bit, another dog a lot. So I would never recommend that. But if somebody did accidentally have that experience, people call your vet, see, especially if it's a small dog, but you don't need to, it's not like the dog's going to just keel over and die. Now, I don't know that for sure, but I do know from the experiences I've had. It's
some water.
Yeah, just
let them rest, do whatever.
They're just they just need to know that they're not
all
alone.
Right.
Just light them a joint.
Yeah.
Keep it warm, dude.
I mean, why not, right?
Right.
And we got Elman back, and you're asking, have you guys infused your meals with mushrooms? If so, how was it?
Ooh, that's a Blaze question, and Mr. Magic here.
I wouldn't mind trying.
So
you fucking crazy man.
I have actually, and the one way I was, preferring to do it because chocolate melts, and where we were was hot, and so I would bring in my, my blend, just the powder, and I would get a hamburger, get a hamburger, and I would just pop off the bun, sprinkle it on top. I've done it on salmon. We've poached salmon before.
Do you do it before you cook it or after?
So you don't want to cook it.
There you
with
go.
It. Yeah, you
'Cause
don't
it'll
want
probably destroy it.
So psilocybin has a very sensitivity to temperature.
There
Right.
you go. That's why I
Anything
said
over
to
about
people.
140
Good to know.
degrees. Yeah, which is funny because tea, boiling water is 212 degrees. Is that right? And and it doesn't really kill the psilocybin at all. But you want to be really careful. You don't want to damage it. You don't want to lose the potency. So don't cook with it.
Put it in after.
Put it on after. Yeah, it's like
There you
add
go.
it with a little olive oil. Like the finishing touch there.
I'll do both.
Yeah. Yep.
Cook with it and
right.
then sprinkle one.
Yep.
Sure.
And the last one in here, we got Eric Bobo saying Mecca Deca Dose for me.
Yeah, Bobo.
Enter the portal.
That's right, baby. That's how we do.
Straight
That's
to the
my-
portal.
We miss you over here. I mean, you guys are killing it on tour. We've been watching it, man. Say what's up to B and everybody. And, oh, by the way, of course, much love and blessings to Sendog. We love you.
Yeah,
And
for
you
sure.
guys are, Bobo, you guys are freaking killing it. Tell B, of course, he already knows you guys are just
Yeah.
crushing it out there.
All the footage I've seen is sick.
Yeah, man.
Sick with it.
Shout
like
out to
E40.
Trace for the lives on the Cypress Hill Instagram.
Hell yeah.
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 And that seems to be it.
All right.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the Dr. Greenthumb Show. Appreciate Dr. Ryan Greene for coming by. Psycho Leezy, you got some shouts?
Always. Shout out to the fam in the crib. Shout out everybody on the check. And shout out to the Hill, doing their thing on the road. If you're on the gram, check me out, psycholess.official. And if you're checking for that merch, the psycholessshop.com. And that's it. It's Monday. Have a good Monday. One love. Squeeze.
Yeah, Mr. Magic, thank you for coming in, and we really appreciate your insight and, and those fire-ass bars.
That we do.
Awesome.
And so do all our guests, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
We give them to all the guests, and they all love them, man.
I've not heard one complaint, sir, so kudos on that. And you have any shout-outs or you'd like to do, say hello?
To all the people exploring and, experimenting in a way, just get as much information and as much support as you can. If it's new for you and for those of us that have been, in it for a while, keep doing what you're doing and help other people understand what it is, So yeah, I appreciate you guys inviting me on here, man. It's
Hell yeah.
a real pleasure. And this is something that has really taken a profound part of my life. It wasn't what I expected. And the cool thing was, I guess, just to share one last little story. When I went to the jungles of Costa Rica, I did 5 days, just me and this shaman. We were doing peyote, we were doing ibogaine, we did. I'm trying to forget the other one now. But we did this whole journey, right? And we talked about everything. And he said, he asked me about my experience with mushrooms, and I said, this is where I've been and this is what I've done. And he just said, well, with these chocolates, I mean, how many people do you think you've had involved in? And so what it ended up at was, he said, so I want to tell you something. You think that you found the mushrooms, but they found you.
Ooh,
and that is what I think this is really, I want people to understand that they are a powerful, powerful contribution to your evolution. And so, yeah, you be respectful and that's it. Yeah, just I appreciate you guys.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you for being a guest. Appreciate it. Come by. Come. You're more than welcome to come back by, for real.
Cool. I love it. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
What up, Bolton?
Shout out to the Insane Asylum. Thank you guys so much. Shout out to Ray Morning Shot Films. Shout out to the Dominator. And it's Munchie Monday today. 15% off all edibles at Dr. Greenthumb. And shout out to Mr. Magic for dropping some knowledge on us today.
Yeah, man.
Callie Blaze.
Always shout out to my family, my fiance, everybody who works for our company. Thank you so much, Mr. Magic, Dr. Greene. It was really awesome. I hope everybody out there enjoyed it today. We just wanted to give you guys something awesome to talk about, get a new topic out there. And I know a lot of you guys were interested, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So much love, and thank you, everybody, for watching the show, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out and being here at the Dr. Greenthumb Show exclusively on BREALTV's YouTube and Twitch. You can find me over at C-Fan4 on all the social medias and DJC-.com for if you want to go pick up a cool hoodie, a shirt, or we got some more stuff coming. It's going to be really, really stupid in the next week or so. So I just want to thank you all, the Kitchen Sink crew, Insane Asylum 5150s, everyone that watches the show.
Hit that like.
Logged in or not. We appreciate you being here. And, yeah, we look forward to hanging with you tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Dr. Greenthumb Show. Right here, live BRealTV. We're out.